Hi everyone, my name is Morgan Trimper. I'm the Performance Nutrition and Wellness Coordinator at Warrior Ice Arena, and today we are going to be going over mastering the macronutrients. So we are going to go over all things proteins, carbohydrates, fats. We're going to talk about really good sources of these macronutrients and how to integrate them into your meals to create that full, well-rounded meal. So simply, proteins are for structure, carbohydrates are for fuel and energy, and fats are for function and support. So we're going to do a deep dive here, and by the end of this, you'll know what they are and how to actually use them in real life. So first, we're going to be starting with protein. This is the builder. When we think protein, think muscles, muscle repair, muscle recovery. These are the building blocks of your body. Protein is responsible for, again, building and repairing your muscles, supporting your immune system. They create enzymes and hormones, and they also help with your recovery after your workouts. So we have 9 essential amino acids which make up proteins, and those come in either complete proteins or we have incomplete proteins. So a complete protein is when we have all 9 of those amino acids in one food source. So this could be quinoa, beef, eggs, dairy. Many of the time they're animal products. So many times animal products will have all 9 of those essential amino acids. Incomplete proteins have some, but not all of the 9 amino acids. So this could be nuts, seeds, some types of grains, oatmeal or oats, right? So this is when we'd want to combine an incomplete protein or a couple incomplete proteins to create a complete protein. So some incomplete proteins have a certain makeup of those 9 amino acids. Others have the other ones that are missing. So when we combine them, we create that 9 essential amino acid panel, essentially. So, for example, peanut butter and whole wheat bread, when you combine those, you create a complete protein. Even though peanut butter by itself is incomplete, whole wheat or whole grain bread by itself is incomplete. When you combine them, you create a complete protein. Same thing with pitas and hummus, rice and beans. Those are common combinations because alone, standalone, they're incomplete. When you combine them, they become a complete protein with all 9 of those essential amino acids. So the concept here with protein is for muscle repair and muscle recovery. So if you're working out, if you're training, or even just leading a very active lifestyle, your body is consistently breaking down and rebuilding tissue. When you work out, your muscles are getting little teeny micro tears in them, and when we replenish and refuel with protein, we're repairing those little micro tears and rebuilding and recovering your muscles, therefore making them stronger. So protein is what makes that process possible. So just some little tips here. One of the biggest mistakes that people eat is that they think they have to eat protein all at once. Their whole daily intake has to be taken all at one meal. That's not the best way to go about it. We want to make sure that we're spreading out our protein throughout the day and having a little bit with each meal, each snack. So the easiest way to calculate your protein maintenance, so to maintain the muscle mass that you have, is about 1 gram per pound of body weight. So if I weigh 150 pounds, I need about 150 grams of protein per day, so throughout the entire day, to maintain my muscle structure and stay pretty much in the same spot. If you wanted to gain muscle, put a little bit of muscle on, you would eat slightly above that maintenance, so maybe 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. Okay, and same thing if you wanted to lose a little bit of muscle, you'd go in the opposite direction, 0.8, which isn't the most likely scenario, but we mainly want to stay in that maintenance area. So about 1.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. For me personally, as a college athlete, when I was strength training a lot, playing games on the ice every week or every day of the week, games on the weekend, my protein intake needed to be slightly higher than my maintenance. I needed to make sure I was really giving the attention to my muscles to recover, replenish, rebuild, and get ready for the next day's worth of work when I had such a physically dense schedule. So for me, I needed to eat slightly above my maintenance, but now that I'm not playing college sport and not training at that level every single day, I'm now back down to that 1 gram per pound of body weight maintenance. So I want to maintain the muscle that I've built, but I don't necessarily need to gain more muscle, and I definitely don't want to lose muscle. So we're staying right in that area. But With that, we want to make sure that we're spreading out that protein intake throughout the day and really, really emphasizing getting a good protein source in at breakfast to start your day. Breaking that fast, you want to get a nice, good, solid, lean protein source in with breakfast. And then again, eating every 3 to 4 hours, whatever feels best for you. Again, this is really where you have to be intuitive with your body and listen to what your body's telling you. If you feel like you need more protein, or if you need more meals, maybe smaller portions, but more meals throughout the day. If you like to eat 3 big meals with some snacks in between, this is for you to kind of play around with, but we want to make sure that we're trying to hit that protein goal. Again, this could be with every meal and snack. So at breakfast, you could do eggs, a Greek yogurt. Again, you can make that complete protein by doing maybe some oatmeal and peanut butter. For lunch, maybe chicken, tofu, beans. Maybe make a pasta salad and throw some chicken or tuna in there. Those are great protein sources. For snack, we have nuts. You could do seeds with cheese. You could do those Chomps beef sticks. Those are all really great high protein snacks. I know this one's a hot take, but cottage cheese, I don't know if you've ever tried the Good Culture cottage cheese brand. That is my favorite. The consistency of it is amazing. If you're a texture person, this one is a lot better than other types of cottage cheese. Cottage cheese is a great snack. You could always put pineapple on top, spruce it up a little bit. Same thing with those Greek yogurt cups. They come in so many flavors. With Greek yogurts and a lot of times granola, cereals, we just want to make sure that we're looking at the sugar content. It's a really easy product that's marketed as really healthy. And oftentimes with the flavored ones, they sneak in a lot of sugars. So just being cognizant of that. But Greek yogurt is a great source of protein. It's a really quick on-the-go snack, so that could be a really quick option for you. And then the second piece here is the timing of it matters, especially when you're using it for a post-workout recovery macronutrient. So within 30 to 60 minutes after your workout, you'd like to get some sort of protein source in to initiate that muscle repair, that muscle rebuilding, and to recover a little bit faster to build that strength. So if you don't get enough protein, your recovery is going to slow down a little bit. Your muscles won't have as much energy to replenish and re-strengthen, and you might feel hungrier, right? You might feel a little bit more hungry. So if you're really prioritizing your protein, you're going to set your body up best, your muscles up best to repair, recover, and really initiate those processes, especially post-workout, getting that protein in, but making sure that we're taking that maintenance or our protein goal, whatever that is, to maintain, to put on a little bit of muscle, decrease muscle, whatever your personal protein goal is, and that number, making sure that we're somewhere close to it. Again, we don't have to be perfect with it. This is just kind of an idea, giving you a little baseline, but taking that number and really figuring out what each meal looks like. If I need 150 grams of protein, maybe I do 30 at lunch, maybe I do 30 at dinner, breakfast, right? Get the main protein sources in at those bigger meals and then kind of fill in the gaps with my snacks. But that takes a little bit of intention, right? Really planning ahead. So protein, again, is really important for our muscle repair, muscle recovery, muscle growth. It also, again, helps with supporting our immune system and really prioritizing it at breakfast to start our day and after workouts to make sure we're really kickstarting that recovery process, okay? Next up here, we're going to talk about carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are often misunderstood, but they are the fuel, the gas in our tank. They are not the enemy. They are the body's primary source of fuel. So your brain, your muscles, your nervous system all rely heavily on carbohydrates, your hormones as well. Okay, so when we think carbohydrates, we think energy, we think performance, right? This is what's going to power you through your workouts, through your day, help maintain that intensity, prevent muscle breakdown, really support our brain function. Okay, so there's 2 different types of carbohydrates. Okay, we have quick energy, which is fast digesting, and this is great for before your workouts or during an intense activity. This could look like fruits, some bread, white rice cakes, right? Pretzels. Those are all quick, fast digesting carbs, a banana. Okay. And again, these are what you'd want to have before your workouts to really prioritize that quick burst of energy. We also have some types of carbs that offer slower, more sustainable fuel. So this is like our whole grains, our sweet potatoes, our oatmeal. And these are really great for, again, longer lasting energy. They're going to keep you fuller longer. Typically, they're a little bit higher in fiber. And again, these are going to keep you fuller longer, so you might want to have these a little bit further ahead of your workout time, your game, your practice, and then use that quick carb right before your game or during your game. I did watch the USA Women's Olympic hockey team with our campers at Warrior Ice Arena, and in the middle of the game, Hilary Knight pulled out a go-go squeeze and was eating that on the bench, and all the kids were going nuts and crazy because I just told them in our nutrition talk that go-go squeeze, applesauce, those were a really good source of quick sugars, quick carbohydrates that give you a little burst of energy. And there was Hilary Knight eating a go-go squeeze on the bench in the middle of the gold medal Olympic game. So that was a great visual of kind of how this carbohydrate source, this energy really works in the body and when to utilize it in the middle of your activities. So what happens if you don't eat enough carbohydrates, right? You might feel a little bit lower energy, you might have poor performance, you might feel fatigued or tired, and might have trouble concentrating. I asked one of the kids in one of our sessions that we did with a team what his symptoms were for if he feels like he didn't fuel enough or maybe have enough carbohydrates before his practice. And he said with that kind of trouble of concentrating during drills, he would either mess up the drill, do the drill wrong, do a piece of the drill wrong. So he wasn't fully concentrated and he was getting a little distracted, maybe a little fatigue tying in there. And then last piece, which I feel like is one of the most important, but you have an increased risk of injury. So we really want to make sure we're getting that good source of carbohydrates well before and leading up to, and again, during our exercise, our games, our practices, or if we're just on the go, making sure we have that consistent intake of carbohydrates to keep our energy level sustained, keep our blood sugar maintained throughout the day, so we're not getting really high highs and crashing and getting really low lows, right? So your body may even start to break down muscle for energy if we're not getting enough carbohydrates, which we don't want. Right? So a real life example here is think of your body like a car. Okay, carbohydrates are the gasoline when you go to the gas pump and you fill up your car. That's like a carbohydrate. The gasoline that you're pumping into that fuel tank is your carbs. All right, so no gas. When we go up to the gas station, we open up our gas tank and we say, never mind, I don't want gas today. And we try to drive off and our car doesn't go anywhere. That's just like not putting carbohydrates into our body. Our body won't go anywhere. We have no gas in the tank, no movement. Okay, so if you feel like you're tired, if you feel sluggish, if you feel maybe more weak during your workouts, it's not a lack of motivation. It's not anything that you're mentally doing. It might just be a lack of fuel, a lack of fueling properly leading up to that activity. Okay, so we want to set our bodies up really nicely to be able to perform at our best through these activities. Okay, last piece here that we're going to talk about is fats. Okay. Again, an often misunderstood macronutrient, but fats are essential. They're not optional. They are essential for your bodily functions. They help with your hormones, your brain function, long-term energy. All right, so fats help really support hormone production. They help protect your organs, right? They absorb vitamins like fat-soluble vitamins, vitamins A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K. They help maintain your brain health, your brain function, and they provide energy for long duration, maybe lower intensity activities. We have a couple different kinds of fats to kind of run through here, but first we're going to start off with unsaturated fats. Okay, these are often liquid at room temperature, so if you have a hard time deciphering a saturated fat from an unsaturated fat, typically at room temperature, unsaturated fats will be liquid. Okay, so this is like avocados, avocado oil, olive oil, fattier fish, nuts and seeds, right? These are really high in unsaturated fats, okay? And these are really great for your heart health, for reducing inflammation in the body, again, to support your brain function. And then there's two different kinds kind of under unsaturated fats. We have polyunsaturated fats and monounsaturated fats. Really the only difference is their structure at the molecular level. But again, those are both under that unsaturated fat umbrella. So unsaturated fats are really, really great for inflammation, really great for your heart health. And again, they're most likely room temperature liquid at room temperature. Saturated fats on the flip side here, we still need, but we don't want to eliminate them, right? But we want to limit them a little bit more than maybe our unsaturated fats. So saturated fats are like bacon. Bacon has a higher saturated fat content. A lot of times more processed foods have higher saturated fats. fattier meats, so fattier cuts of steak, and then more fried foods. Again, these are items that are solid at room temperature. So when you take bacon grease and you leave it on the counter, it solidifies. That's because it's composed of saturated fats. Okay? So balance matters here, right? Too little of fat, if we don't take in enough fat, we're going to have lower energy. We might lead to more hormonal issues. We have a poor nutrition or nutrient absorption. But too much fat, and we might crowd out the carbs and protein. It might impact our health and our performance. So there's a nice balance that we need to strike with every macronutrient, but with fats specifically, okay? So prioritizing the quality of fats and not just the quantity, really getting good sources of high quality, healthy fats in our diet, right? And again, we're not eliminating saturated fats, but we're just being a little more cognizant of this unsaturated or the saturated fats and really prioritizing unsaturated fats like our nuts, our seeds, our trail mix, our fish, again, avocados, our really high quality extra virgin olive oil, okay? So kind of putting it all together here, we have our macronutrients, right? Our proteins, our carbohydrates, and our fats. We don't need to eliminate any macronutrient, but we need to make sure that we're balancing them out throughout our day and making sure that we're really prioritizing getting good quality sources of each and really prioritizing the timing of each. So including that really good lean source of protein, really prioritizing it at breakfast and after our workouts, adding in consistent carbohydrate intake for sustained energy throughout the day, but really making sure we're getting those really easy digesting, quick digesting carbohydrates in before your workout or during your workout or activity, including good healthy fats throughout your day. Again, nuts, seeds, trail mix, avocados, good olive oils or oils in general, right? And then examples of how this could look at a meal is a grilled piece of chicken. That's a good source of lean protein. Brown rice, right? Good source of carbohydrates. Also has good fiber. Avocado for some healthy fats. And then we have our vegetables, or however we want to incorporate some veggies as our micronutrients, our vitamins and minerals. So that's a pretty well-rounded meal. When I look down at that plate, I have a good source of lean protein. I have a good source of carbohydrates. I have a good source of fats coming from that avocado, and I have my micronutrients covered with my vegetables. Okay, so that's a pretty balanced, high-performing meal. So to truly master your nutrition, stop thinking in terms of restriction and start thinking in terms of function. How are these foods functioning in my body? How are they adding to my health? And what are they actually doing to support my body, right? So do I have enough fuel, right? That's coming from your carbohydrates. Am I eating enough carbs? Am I supporting my recovery? Protein. Am I eating enough protein to support my muscle recovery? Am I supporting my body systems, fats, right? Your hormones, your brain function. So because when you understand the macronutrients, you stop guessing, right? You start fueling your body with purpose. And that's how we go from just eating to really understanding how the foods that we eat actually impact our body and help our body thrive. And again, I always like to reiterate that we don't want to aim for perfection. We don't want to always think we have to be perfect with every single meal that we eat, every single snack we eat. But for the majority of our day, we want to make sure that we're getting those whole foods, that we're getting those foods that are going to give us the palate that we need to be able to carry out those bodily functions, to be able to repair and recover our body. But we don't need to aim for perfection, right? We're going to work in those ice cream sandwiches and our fun foods every once in a while here and there throughout the day or throughout the week or throughout the month or throughout the year. We're not eliminating and restricting those, but we're being cognizant that we really want to prioritize fueling our body correctly to help promote that performance and recovery most of the time. So if you enjoyed this episode, definitely pass it along. I really thank you for listening in. We are going to get right into the next episode here. So we'll kind of transition into balance, moderation, and really prioritizing our mindset around food, health, nutrition, wellness. So that was a great segue into our next episode here. But again, my name is Morgan Trimper. I'm the Performance Nutrition and Wellness Coordinator at Warrior Ice Arena. You can always reach out to me via email. Also, I like to post often on my Instagram, different recipes and content. So if there's anything you'd like to see, definitely let me know. And if there are any topics that you'd like to hear about or have me kind of do an episode on in a little bit more depth, definitely feel free to reach out and let me know. So thank you so much for listening in today, and I'll see you in the next episode.